This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Melissa Francis, townhall.com editor and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich, syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. And joining us today in the center seat on the virtual couch, host of Bulls and Bears on Fox Business, David Asman. David, I haven't seen you in a minute. Great to see you. Happy Friday, everybody.
Great to see you. Thank you.
So we're about to do some swing dancing through the states following these candidates. So Leslie, I think it might be a mix of things. How about if we mix this into the ingredients that Joe Biden and his team may be looking at? Look, there have been reports this week. You heard from Bernie Sanders last week, a call for Biden to engage. There are some reports of worries behind the scenes for Democrats that he's not out there enough. And I don't just mean, the jokes about the basement, but as Bernie Sanders said, out there talking about certain issues that really do matter to Americans.
Absolutely. Look, as a Democrat, I'm concerned when I saw numbers among Latinos, even though it was only one poll in the state of Florida. I have said all along that he needs to get out there more, especially in swing states. And quite frankly, that would be even if we weren't in the midst, even more so because we're in the midst of a COVID pandemic. When you just look at what happened, as the book says from Hillary Clinton in 2016. Look, I got to speak to David's point. David, I love you, but absolutely couldn't disagree further.
There's
not that much thought going into, I believe, that one word of criminal.
There's thought that goes into everything that Joe Biden says. Thought from people other than Joe Biden.
I don't agree. I think what's happening is what I have said all along is when people say, oh, Joe Biden's going to be destroyed by Donald Trump in these debates. No, this is when Joe Biden gets tougher. We're seeing tougher. And by the way, he was very on point. I didn't see a cognitive decline. I thought he had a great bumper sticker in Scranton versus Park Avenue. And I think this is the way it's going to go going forward. Trump is going to talk about the economy and Joe Biden's going to hit him on his response to COVID, because that's what many voters will hold a referendum on Donald Trump for in November 2020.
There are fewer things that I like better than seeing Katie Pavlich laugh. And she had a big old smile on her
Katie,
face. I want to know what's on your mind,
Katie. I can't see Katie. Are you laughing at me, Katie?
No.
No. She's just taking in the moment. I'm going to go straight to Leslie with this because, Leslie, here's part of the challenge for Joe Biden that I see. He hasn't been out with enough reporters to be able to get to those types of questions. So you have a town hall last night. There was one that I did watch, though. One of the questions was from a Trump supporter, and I thought her question was excellent. And I thought Joe Biden did pretty focused and a good job answering it. I don't know if it was what she wanted to hear, because he missed the opportunity to thank a Trump supporter for asking him a question, because the very next question was, what are you going to do to bring all supporters together, Trump and otherwise? Wow, what a missed opportunity. But Leslie, to Melissa's point, what about the economy? Because people are taking that in their pockets, right? However they're going to vote, into the polling booth, at home, whatever it's going to be.
Well, it really depends which economist you ask. And Melissa certainly knows financing numbers, as does David, better than I. But there are economists who say, look, Trump is going to be better for the economy. But there are many top economists that have said Joe Biden's plan is better at recouping a great number of the 13 million jobs lost among this pandemic that we are living right now.
Do you know why
they say that? And that's what the American people want to hear. However, the economy is not number one, especially for the current Biden supporters. And as you know, among Democrats and Biden supporters who may not say that they're Democrats, the number one issue for them that is motivating them, that they have more enthusiasm over than Joe Biden, quite frankly, is their anger toward or even hatred of the president and making him a one-term president in November of 2020.
Can I just jump in on the economy?
So quite frankly, I'm not surprised that the questions are all about Trump, because that's really what Biden's base and support want to hear about, because they're so angry with him.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi last hour refusing to come down from her $2.2 trillion coronavirus stimulus offer on the table. The negotiations with the White House have gone nowhere for weeks. Yesterday, Pelosi told reporters she did not see how Democrats could go any lower after chipping away more than $1 trillion from their $3.4 trillion package the House passed way back in May. But vulnerable Democrats running for re-election are pressuring her to reach a deal. And President Trump on Wednesday told Republicans to go bigger after the skinny GOP coronavirus bill failed to advance in the Senate. Leslie, Nancy Pelosi is just lying when she says that, this money needs to go to the state and local municipalities or else they're going to go under and they can't fund all of these different things because, as we know, a line of credit was approved for them at the Treasury this summer. If they really need money, they can go get it right away for anything they need. They could call up the Treasury and get it absolutely today. Is the problem just that they want a gift? They don't want to borrow money. They want something from Washington that they never have to pay back.
I don't think so, quite frankly, Melissa. I think for some states, and there are some in this country, the one I'm sitting in California included, that were hit harder by the virus. And then we have additional health issues here just because of the air quality, which affects the respiratory system. And we have flu season coming up upon us. But it goes further than just money for the state and local governments. Look, you come down $1 trillion. That's not saying you're not going to budge. You're asking for more money. The president, who is not of your party, is asking for more money. This isn't just about I want to win. This isn't just about a political stalemate before an election coming up in November. This is about saying, look, the American people, on top of their unemployment, had $600 each. The Republicans say, hey, let's cut that down to $200. Nancy Pelosi says, I don't like that. More money for state and local governments. And when we look, really both sides haven't budged. Look, it doesn't behoove Nancy Pelosi as a leader in the House where her party has the majority to just stand there. This can hurt Democrats in various states. And the Senate has the same problem on the right with Republicans in the majority. So quite frankly, I don't think either are just playing politics because it would help both of them politically, especially in their House and Senate races in November, to come up with something that the American people can benefit from. And one more thing, there are many Americans that don't have jobs to go back to. Sadly, although we see closed temporarily for some companies, there are many companies in this country that will never open their doors again, and those employees have nowhere to go and have to continue to get unemployment until they find a different job.
Pennsylvania Supreme Court has extended the state's mail-in voting deadline to 3 days after the election, following a lawsuit by state Democrats. New ballots will now be counted up until November 6th. As long as they are postmarked by 8 p.m. on Election Day. Meanwhile, a federal judge in Washington state temporarily is blocking U.S. Postal Service cost-cutting moves, which critics say may have slowed down the mail nationwide. This after 14 states filed lawsuit. The Obama-appointed judge calls the post office changes a, quote, politically motivated attack. But a Postal Service spokesperson says it can handle whatever volume of election mail people send. President Trump last night was in Wisconsin. We mentioned this earlier. And once again, he warned that universal mail-in voting is ripe with fraud or for fraud.
Those paper ballots you talk about a bad thing? Just get out and vote. Get out and vote. And if you have to go that route, make sure they have it counted. And they know it's trouble.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list today. I mentioned early in-person voting, where both of these men are going, begins in Minnesota. Absentee voters in South Dakota today can start mailing in their ballots. Early in-person and absentee voting begins in Virginia. So this is on the minds of people already. Leslie, I come to you. You heard Katie say that this was a win for Democrats to be able to count after Election Day. I still scratch my head as to why we can't start this process differently. And maybe extend it out by a couple of days for everybody, not the counting necessarily, but giving more people a chance to go to the polls if they should want to.
Quite frankly, we're in a very different time. We've never had an election like this. We've never had a COVID pandemic. I think I'm scratching my head because I just agreed with almost everything Katie said. That's why I was smiling this segment, Katie.
Shocker.
Look, this isn't it's Friday, yeah. This isn't just a win for Democrats. This is a win for the American people and for voters. Not just Senator Bernie Sanders. There are people
that's why it's a win.
Yes, legally a win. But as far as voting, when you have, like Senator Bernie Sanders always says, every vote must count. And that's essential. That's crucial. At this time, there are people who are normally accustomed to getting out and going to vote. Some of them may not feel comfortable because of that, whether it's because of their age and underlying health condition, or just fear in their state when they look at numbers, even if they're coming down amidst this COVID pandemic. So I think it's essential to have every vote count. But like Katie, I'm very hopeful that we will have a result with a wide enough margin on election night that we will know the winner.
Oh, I love Kumbaya on a Friday. David Assman?
Earlier today, I took a historic stand against the hateful lies being fed to America's youth. We're going to teach our children the truth about America, that we're the most exceptional nation ever to exist, and we're getting better every single day.
President Trump there in battle-crowned Wisconsin saying he's creating a commission to push patriotic education and counter what he calls left-wing indoctrination in America's schools. He calls it the 1776 Commission, apparently a dig at the New York Times 1619 Project, which is named for the year the first enslaved Africans were brought to Virginia. The president's idea has sparked immediately backlash from critics who say he's downplaying some of the darkest chapters of American history to play to his political base. Leslie, I'll come to you first and get your reaction to this.
The federal government cannot mandate what our children are taught in schools, and neither can New York Magazine, who started the 1619 campaign. Look, I grew up 20 minutes from Plymouth, Massachusetts. I was for years taught the very wrong and not truthful historical story of Native Americans and the Pilgrims who settled here in the United States and Massachusetts. We just saw this week a sad number that 1 in 10 Americans under 40 don't even know what the Holocaust is. With regard to 1619, this is not just about white privilege or even white supremacy. This is about how does race impact the economy, the political and social systems in our nation. I want my kids to learn the truth regarding everyone in this country and our history truthfully, even if it's ugly, whether it's regarding African Americans, regarding Jews, regarding Native Americans. And I think all Americans should be on board with our children learning accurate American history. And I think that's one of the things that the 1619 Project has as a goal.